So it's Seki. Hello, 20. 7 years old. I gave my name to Mr. Hachi, who was involved in this message company with an annual income of 6 million yen. I layered it on rice several times. The other person is a man who has responded to the Times and works at a hospital because he's in Tokyo. Why the reality class was a forward-looking customer, but to be honest, it's not the type that doesn't exist at all, like an independent city. However, I don't have a company that feels safe when it comes to nails and documents. Often talk about that matter. Listen. If you marry a dentist, I don't think you'll have any trouble for the rest of your life, so why don't you try using it as long as you get along? We've been together for about half a year, and if we find someone better, we can break up. If you're at a disadvantage, don't you think it's a good idea to use it as a good experience? However, since my business card is called Me, why did you give it a name in the first place? Me, a dentist or something? I sometimes go to the doctor. I have never provided my business card or shared my contact details with a medical professional. Could it be that Mr. Kashiwara handed it to you out of genuine interest? Ushijima, I'm interested, so I gave it to you. As a result, the other person, meals come. I was invited to that meal. So you want to go to something. What do you mean?
Hey, wow.
Miki, I'm not talking about dentists, Seki. So something like that. In the first place, I gave it to you. I have a question. It's normal. I don't know, but in general, I give it to you at the dentist or something. I don't really... Even at restaurants, I don't really make acquaintances. Typically, I refrain from handing business cards to doctors as well. I feel like I'll stop at the reception. If you talk to the reception desk, you probably give it directly to the person. So since I invited him out myself, I feel like if you want to go out and do something like that, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Miki.
Japan is investing here, but what effect does it have? As a member country, we are very all the time. Since I continue to sit on the standing board of directors, I get one vote on it. It is a big responsibility of the United Nations. In the United Nations, there is a country that is the only country that has ever been hit by an atomic bomb. There are some countries that have a certain effect on opposing the war, and I don't know much about Japanese people. Japan is regarded as Japan by countries such as the Middle East. In short, I said that basically the world is controlled by the United States and Europe. However, in a country that kind of rewarded America, the country that won, even if it fought against Russia, and even if it did win, I bought a little bit of Siberia. You won the Russo-Japanese War, right? We won the Sino-Japanese War, but we lost to America, but not quite. There are times when I say I worked hard. From the perspective of countries other than the United States and Europe, Japan occupies a certain position. In short, to some extent, it's a samurai. There are also cases where it is a position that is respected. So, since such a country is in that permanent member country, I think it will be evaluated as being of Arab descent. Ushijima mentioned, I'm quite certain it's connected to Africa. Music association, something like Just Luck in Japan. There are a lot of America and Europe of the African Music Association. The summary, for some reason, Japan is doing it. The reason for that is Ushijima, Africa. The French-speaking Republic of Marie is noteworthy, or something like that. It was originally a French colony. Also, countries like South Africa were colonies of the United Kingdom, where English was the main language. Cultural things. English and French. There's a lot of conflict in terms of language. Ushijima, then that of Africa. It's like a Just Luck-like music association at the top. So when it comes to making it an English-speaking country, when French-speaking countries complain, if you go to a French-speaking country, English-speaking countries will complain. For some reason. I don't really understand between them, but it seems that Japan was in a position to mediate that. Something like that. That's Japan. It's neither Europe nor America, and it doesn't align with the Middle West's cultural archetypes. We are in the position of a developed country. It's being evaluated to a certain extent. I don't know much about Japanese people, though. Yes. Ushijima, I think I've said this before, so please look at the past 6. I think it's also a clipping. I'm a middle-aged man in my 40s, and I've been down for the first time in a while. I make crossroads while eating. Even though I'm tired, I think I've learned how to live by saying I'm studying social welfare. What should I do if I have strong experience? In particular, how would the Liberal Democratic Party study broadly? Finally, I want you to tell me to do my best. Thank you very much. Mr. Iguchi, please do your best. Stomach. And that name, I can't remember your face either. Some people remember. I forget people who are quite important or people I meet. So I'll forget. Because I'm the one who can't remember. I don't have high expectations for my memory.
Made a mistake.
My 20-year-old work environment has changed. Sometimes my face deforms due to stress, I think. Your face has changed lately, and I wonder if you're going back to coming out of a stressful environment right away. Sometimes it goes back to the original. I have to go back because of my age. Photos of soldiers who went to the Vietnam War before they went, and there is a comparison of photos when I got back on the American side. There was, but they look completely different. Mickey, I only went to the war 2 or 3 years ago. You're a normal student, aren't you? From that face. After all, when I went to war and came back, you look like you're going to kill people. I'm killing people? It looks like I'm about to kill you, or rather, I've killed you. I know if it's the stress or if it's because I killed him. Well, if you get shocked after all, that look changes, doesn't it? To be precise, that it's not that the facial bones or muscle structure itself has changed. I think the way you make facial expressions will probably change. For example, around that. But if they are all enemies, I use that great care to make you look around like this. In the center, a form of paying attention to various actions. I think I will start living in that there are only people I know or only family. I was dazed. I think it's a subjective loose face. As these things gradually accumulate, they become established as expressions. People who just often worry about something get wrinkles here. In short, it's always like this. That if you have a habit of wrinkling your eyebrows, there are those wrinkles that form here. People's faces change quite a lot depending on the environment, such as being costless. So if you don't want to change, I think it's better to go to a stress-free environment as soon as possible. There are 30 Maibon bottles in Donki in the neighborhood, and they are always sold out. If I ask the clerk again, wouldn't it be in stock? Ushijima helped me out every day, not only before I received the basic factory ticket, but my work as a member of parliament was completely in a state of XM, but I was blocked for 4 years. It would be terrible if he sold his fist, isn't it? I don't really need to apologize. I guess he's the type of person who just doesn't admit his mistakes. That's what I think. I'm sorry I touched you so much, Mike.
Ushijima.
I'm a group that thinks it's better for the people to cut taxes. But in the end, the government... So why is it strong? I have a lot of money in taxes. Because I have the authority to distribute that money. The government is strong. Oh my God. So why does everyone want to join the Liberal Democratic Party? When he joined the Liberal Democratic Party, he said that he had experience in budget allocation as his government. So sometime, when you want to build a bridge or some kind of dam in the prefecture, after all, the Ministry of Finance has to have the money. So that's it. Control the Treasury Department and decide where and how the money is distributed. As a consequence, if a significant bridge is built in our area, there are times when I seem to get high votes just because I thank this politician. It's cold power, isn't it? So trying to raise taxes as much as possible is the ruling party. Accordingly, numerous people express the belief that the Ministry of Finance aims to increase taxes. That's what the ruling party wanted to do. In short, if you really want to control the Treasury, the Chancellor can. So the results controlled by the Minister of Finance. Please just send it in the direction of raising taxes and talk about it. So politicians try to increase their authority. So I intend to steer this agenda toward maximizing tax increases. So President Trump is saying that he will cut taxes properly. In that sense, for the common people, I think he's someone I can evaluate.
Mickey.
I'll preface this by saying today's topic is quite intriguing. I played the lottery where I didn't win. This is about the American presidential election. In the end, the people who voted for President Trump, considering the vast array of political systems found in America, frankly, I feel deeply disheartened by the outcome, to say the least, beyond the concerns of everyday working individuals. Thus, how should we address rights concerning transgender individuals, women's issues, and those of foreign nationals? If anything, the government is focused on ourselves in America. White people and white men are mainly, Ushijima, I have a high suicide rate or I'm short. Comments on that kind of thing. There is something that says it's not valued. I think the structure will be that they voted for President Trump because they wanted something to be done about it. Consequently, the economic standing of the middle class in developed nations presents notable dynamics. It is said that it will continue to decrease relatively. The structural problem has not been solved. In short, I thought it would be for people who do jobs that anyone can do, supermarket clerks, and people who do jano work among them. Anyone can do that. The job framework increasingly involves international expansion and overseas ventures. In short, the unit cost of that import and export is low. So, for example, there used to be a job making towels, and Imabari was quite famous. But this time, that Japanese person, when I was making towels, the price was not very high. If so, it's not expensive. I feel like it's made in China. To give an example, a majority of items distributed to Daiso in Japan seem to be manufactured in China. So that middle layer, being happy is structurally difficult. Of course, there are also agricultural tasks that require skills. There are many agricultural tasks that do not require technology. Therefore, its high load value can be sold at a high price. Vegetables can still be made in Japan. Even if wheat is grown in Japan, I don't buy American-made communications, and I also don't buy soybeans. Why is it imported from overseas? Looking at that, the middle class is, after all, well, it's hard to make money. So how much will it drop? Potentially originating from China, with people doing similar jobs. You end up in a situation where you have to get the same salary. So if the import and export costs don't change much, even if it's made by Chinese people, it's the same as if it's made by Japanese people. So what about people who make it in China? In the meantime, if you try to compete with the same price as the product, you will find that Japanese people will have to pay less than Chinese people's salaries. Miki, this is not only a problem for white people in America, but also in Japan. I'm also coming to Europe. From now on in Ushijima, who will be the president? Who will be the prime minister? It's not a problem that can be solved. However, if changes are desired, employing the block economy approach can be effective. In short, it is made in China. What is a product? If you do not import at all, for example, from China, like towels sold at Daiso, it's like scissors can be made for 100 yen. Plastic bags or clothespins. I stopped importing anything from China. We also stopped importing from Southeast Asia. When it comes to making things in Japan, the number of jobs in Japan will increase. I think it will be about 3 times the price of the selected scissors I borrowed. Probably what the 100 yen shop sells. Japanese. Payroll shop simple. Now, what is sold at 100 yen shops costs 300 yen. It's like a shop. That means prices will go up. In short, people from overseas make those cheap things, so they buy them and manage to do them at a low price. So when you want to get something from overseas that makes that cheap thing, as a result, prices will rise, which is a very natural thing. Of course, it's expensive, and you can buy it made in Japan. It's okay to talk about rich people. The problem is, my salary hasn't gone up amid rising prices. It doesn't matter which country or political party you are in, you have no choice but to buy cheap things. There are a lot of people who don't have the means to make a living.
Oshijima.
That's where, well, that's Trump. Even if I become president, it doesn't change structurally. That's why, well, it's even better if that resource becomes popular. For example, you have the option of not buying those clothes. It appears that the average person purchases approximately 3 items of clothing yearly, highlighting consumption trends. Even if you don't buy new clothes, people don't die. So, I made the same child as my friend, a playback friend. When I say give me clothes, I usually give it to you. No matter what kind of person, there are quite a few clothes that don't come, regardless of how tall you are or how short you are. So if anything, living frugally without unnecessary expenditures leads to an eventual increase in disposable income. Also, it's better to have Mercari everything used and in stores. To summarize, observable patterns suggest that financial growth is generally improbable given current trends. In short, when it comes to increasing the income of middle and third-class people in developed countries, maybe it's a block economy or something. They're cheap. China, which makes that product, unless something bad happens in the war inside, basically it will no longer increase in those middle-class states. In that case, the people at Nakayama Accounting are overeating. What to do from the only way to avoid costs?
Ushiji.
Well, it's nothing special. You can tell that a new item is new on the first day, but on the second or third day, it will be listed as used. You don't know anymore, do you? For example, if this is something I bought used or something I bought new, no one will be able to tell the difference in this state. So like this, if anything, the politics within it, the Americans were very optimistic, believing that by accompanying Haruhi, they might achieve significant progress. I don't believe that will significantly alter in any way. As a result, when it turns out that expectations have been betrayed, I was wondering if one of them would go on a rampage, and in short, the people who wanted President Trump to win last time were... You went on a rampage by attacking Congress. Ushijima, this time, first of all, the Democratic Party side. I don't think papists will go on a rampage. But I think you'll probably end up in a state of nervous stress. So it's 2024, but in 2028, President Trump will not be able to continue in office. So people with ideas and charisma like President Trump are currently in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. There isn't one either. Then maybe whoever it was, even if it's a hypothesis or someone from the Republican Party, the Democrats get angry. And I think Republican supporters will be angry. If you're expecting something like Mr. Trump, I guess you're just a normal person. So as a result, the economy is not doing well. In Mickey, this time President Trump to some extent, the reason I thought it would grow was because the American economy, there was something that said wasn't good for Nakayama accounting. Even 4 years from now, the economy will be tough for Nakayama accounting. It doesn't change. Cormorant, Shijima Bitcoin goes up, people are rich. There is a stock price and people are rich, so there are quite a few people in America who are doing Hokok. Those people, I have money to buy Bitcoins. People who have money to buy stocks do it. The point is that people who live on that day, if Bitcoin goes up, if stock prices go up, there will be all the benefits. I can't take it very well.
Mickey,
But I'm sure President Trump will do something about it, so he probably won't do anything. President Trump's civilian efforts will be made. The result doesn't change.
Mickey,
For example, threat. President Pu is saying he will return immigrants. As for how many immigrants there are in the United States, the population of the United States is 400 million. And so on. It is said that there are about 10 million illegal immigrants. In fact, what these illegal immigrants are doing is that legally immigrants coming, well, that American who is legally there, like not doing it, salary, the fees are low and you work hard. I talked about that a little bit when I went to Abipla. There is a job that involves just handling the chicken. It's broiler-like. There are factories that produce chicken in large quantities. It's in the southern part of America. When chicken is put into a machine with a bang, it doesn't automatically pop into the bones and meat. I have the opportunity to divide it somewhat thickly. Basically, humans handle the chickens. I was trying to divide it into meat and bone parts.
Mickey,
That is, if you fail, your finger will be cut. I get hurt. It's hard work, so it's dangerous, but the salary is very low. However, those immigrants do it because they want a job. So that's the result, Amelie. If people do it, they don't do it. In short, the hourly wage is about 600 yen. Continue to handle birds with manual labor down the mountain. If you don't do well, you get hurt. Inside there where the blood got in. Then inside the chicken, infected with various bacteria. There are also times when you get some really strange illness. Ushijima, I don't want to do that kind of dangerous and low-paying job as much as possible. But the American people, I have a strong craving for affordable chicken. So it works as a job. As a business, it's running. But as for why it's running, it's cheap because it's illegal, and it's managed to get around thanks to people who work hard as a labor force.
Mickey,
You see, America embraces a distinctive chip culture. The waiter said now, I get a certain minimum supply and demand. When I was on the account, there was a minimum wage of $3 an hour. If you sell Onishi Japanese yen, it will cost 300 yen or 400 yen. Basically, the hourly wage is 300 yen and 400 yen. I live as a waiter. Ushijima, there was no way I could do it in Japan. In the case of waiters, American restaurants have a culture of tipping. So I only get about 300 yen an hour. But, well, then the table, I'll bring you coffee. By handling situations with care, the money left by patrons can be earned as tips. You can get it from 15% or 20%. For instance, after a meal costing about 2,000 yen, it will be given as a tip of about 400 yen. So then even if the hourly wage is 400 yen, 19 or 800 yen, Ushijima, if 3 potatoes were in charge of the table for an hour, it's 400 yen and 3. So I got from 200 yen just for a tip, in addition for a minimum of 19 or 200 yen. You can get always 100 yen, right? The income is 1,100 yen per hour. People at the store only have to pay 400 yen. Only the minimum hourly wage. So as a result, people in shops can hire labor cheaply. So it's illegal there. Extensive reliance on migrant workers underpins their methods. That's why I'm talking about American culture. Why really expel immigrants? There may be a restaurant or something. The meat industry and agriculture, it won't turn anymore. There is a country called the United Kingdom because it is a country that has already done this baptism. Proclaiming Brexit, we stated boldly that we're parting ways with the European Union for good. It came out of. So get out of the EU. If we leave the EU, there will be no illegal immigrants. I thought our lives would be easier. That truck train is gone. In short, the British think that they don't want to live driving that truck. There were no British people who could become truck drivers, so there was a shortage of truck drivers as a result. So I think I can get a little more now, but if you're a truck driver, it's easy to get a visa to the UK.
Ushijima.
If you convert your annual income into an annual income, you will get about 12 million yen. Or if you work for just 3 months at the end of that year, you can get about 1 million yen that month. The point is, well, it's 3 million a month for just 3 months. I just don't have that year's work. Only at the end of that year, the future will be amazing. Because I'll be busy. I just want you to work for 3 months. But if it were that ordinary person, even if I'm a truck driver only at the end of that year, I don't want to be unemployed other than that, so I'll take a normal job, so I don't work as a truck driver. Ushijima, immigrants used to work there. In short, if you are EU, you don't need a passport. So those in Eastern Europe, like the driver of Mr. Barth, this clerk, etc., I was employed in the UK only towards the end of the year, and soon afterwards enjoyed the year-end and New Year celebrations before returning after the festive season. It's like integration or living in Baltic 3. Because I can no longer do that, transportation costs have become extremely high. That's what happened in England. So, if I remember correctly, last year or something, whether that Brexit vote was a success or a failure, when we conducted a public opinion poll, as an Englishman, I have come to the conclusion that Brexit was a failure. That's why I thought that if we kicked out those immigrants, things would go well. It's not that simple a story. Hey, Mercari is a Japanese company. We are also expanding into the United States. Since it's Mickey, President Trump's leeway is that he can get better if he kicks out immigrants. If we really kick them out, prices will rise first. After that, the cost of evicting them may also increase. So, we need immigrants to some extent. Yet, I occasionally ponder whether creating a comprehensive social framework devoid of immigrants may prove more advantageous. In short, if you let immigrants in, after all, the immigration issue is, because it's bound to happen. Hence, maintaining extensive freedom for immigrants while ensuring societal stability is crucial. However, integrating individuals deeply into the system can bring forth considerable obstacles. So in Japan, I think it would be better not to include meaning in the form of technical interns or something. Do you think so? So I caught a cold and was cold. In Japan, that is because we don't do much deportation. Therefore, 2 of the people whose refugee applications are rejected will be admitted to Japan for 3 years. It becomes a mystery. They will be forcibly deported to Singapore or something. In Singapore, that made about once every 6 months by a pregnancy test. Being pregnant is forcibly correlated with you. What are human rights? Mickey, that's your hypothesis, isn't it? But it's pretty much over here, so please tell me about the broad shore candidates that would make that person come to the moon. It seems as though there was a certain logical correlation within the data you mentioned. Miki Matsumoto Hitoshi writer, Ito on the jump poke aside, if there is also a historical case that we cannot forgive women for hiding the issue of so-called sexual harassment by women, what should we do, is it? Recently, real estate. A new granting agent has also been established. I believe this is strongly tied to the Democratic Party and various other political dynamics. That straight up, in short, I think it's probably the correct answer to say that you don't know about compliance. In short, that even if a woman says it's okay, even if there is a leak later on, proving it as a criminal act presents significant challenges in most cases. But the woman just pushed back. Well, that man should take responsibility for that. Due to the uproar in society and the media, They say they wanted to appear something like Mr. and Mrs. Matsumoto. But nothing special about that. Even if you don't appear in the media, you can appear in society. For example, I'm a really bad person at sharing. I guess you said you couldn't appear on Japanese TV. Well then, will it be on YouTube? I'm going to do a lot of things with X, so even if it doesn't appear on Japanese TV, newspapers, or magazines, that kind of talent activity is possible, isn't it? It's Mickey, so what's wrong with it? When I say it was dried, I think it means being dried on TV or something. Don't show anything on TV. Isn't it nice? Because I'm now able to live that kind of life. So I don't think there's any need to get on board with pursuing something that's like polycore. Ushijima, so what kind of media like mentalist number 5? Over time, occurrences or phenomena such as this have gradually diminished their prevalence in these media platforms significantly.
Tomorrow?
If you receive a work email due to a day off, it's a hassle to deal with it. The main force. Is this no longer dangerous? I don't have it anymore. Because I've basically always been self-employed. So when you receive that email and read it, you reply on the spot. Because I do it all the time, whether it's on holidays or whatever. There's absolutely no concept of not working just because it's a day off. Work continues. Because it doesn't mean working 8 hours a day. So that during the day at all, sometimes I don't work. Check your email when you notice it. Replying to existing emails, I feel like I do it when I want to. So I think it's a problem with the living environment. Seki, here's a troubling question. I was heartbroken after my 4-year relationship ended, and it's been over 6 months. I haven't started my insurance yet, and they're already looking for their next partner, as if they couldn't care less. Ushijima. Basically already. Next, it's better to say Toto. If I could restore it, I'm glad I took the exam. Like a bonus? Basically, you should go a little next. Line drawing, commonly known as stage only until April 2nd. Recently, the topic of politics and world affairs is mental and nebak. I think people with disabilities tend to be happy when they are friends, but is there anything you can prepare for? It is better not to look at the state of the world. Because you saw the state of the world, the situation in the world will not get better. It won't get worse.
Ushijima.
In short, world situation, etc. The situation of Japanese society, I look at people who have free time. Japanese society should do better, and what should we do to do better? I think it's important to move. Seeing that made me feel mentally, if you do it, it will be negative. It's useless to just watch. It's called a clean vote, but after all, it's just one vote, so society doesn't change much with just one vote. So rather that, if you have a mental illness, and because of that, you end up hitting those around you or making the people involved uncomfortable, finance for your own life, because it's my BS. So don't look at that sick thing. It is better to spread happiness to those around you. I believe he is extremely joyful and content in his life journey.